Dementium the Ward is a first-person shooter game that came out on the DS in 2007 as an exclusive and 2009 in European territories. It was made by a renegade kid, which this game, believe it or not, was supposed to be, or at least it was going to be pitched as some sort of Silent Hill game for the DS. It actually makes sense because the game actually came out on the system, but for some reason being, Konami said no. And Renegade Kid wanted to prove Konami wrong, and so that's exactly what they did. They went out there, made their own game with their own concept ideas, and that's it. Now, given the credit of this game, there are some similarities to Silent Hill. It's not like there's fog or anything, but it does have a dark atmosphere. The music, it kind of sounds like I'm playing like a Super Nintendo game, which is not a bad thing. In fact, I think you guys will like the music while you explore. Now, when it was on the DS, it gained positive reception and won a couple awards like first person shooter and graphics. It went out to sell well to get itself a sequel, but I'm not talking about the sequel right now because one, I haven't played it yet, and two, avoid the Steam version. You'll probably see why some point later, or maybe soon, who knows. Everyone's been in demand for the sequel to come out with a remaster. Not the one on the Steam one, because that's made by a complete different company, and nobody liked that one. So this game not only came out on the DS, but it received a remastered version on the 3DS before then getting yet another release. But instead of Renegade Kid, because they shut down, their successor company, Atui, went on to release the game on Switch, PS4, PS5, and then most recently on Windows, featuring mouse and keyboard support and joystick support. So controller works 100%. So it's basically remastered, and there are two different filters depending which platform you play it on. There's the 240p classic graphics that was taking place on the DS, or the higher res graphics, which both of the graphical options have CRT filter if you really want to enable them. You can also adjust the speed if you're aiming and such, which is good, because you're going to need that for some stuff. I say that because there are some enemies that can be around corner and whatever. You're basically armed with a flashlight so you can know where you're going, but then you have to quickly switch to a different weapon like a baton or maybe a pistol or a shotgun. Those are just examples. There isn't too many weapons, and you're pretty much limited in supplies. Health items, you can't really carry them, you can only absorb them. Same with the ammo in the game itself. And the only way to save in this game is by going to the portraits with the warping hole that is red. It looks pretty much similar to how Silent Hill does it, except it actually animates. Originally, you were supposed to use the stylus pen as some sort of camera control for the game. You use it on the touchscreen, and you move around with the look. It's kind of like how you would do it with Call of Duty on the DS, or their other game they came out with known as Moon. You use that, and then you just move with the joystick or perhaps D-pad, depending on which system you were to play it on. But the 3DS version will go on to update the control schemes to using the face buttons in order for you to look around, or the C stick. Yeah, that's right, they also did that in some sort of update for the 3DS version, which was the first one I've played. In the game, no matter which platform, runs at 60 frames, so you'll have the best experience. Your biggest enemy in the game is the draw distance. Unless you have a flashlight, you'll be able to see where you're going. And I say draw distance your enemy because half the times you can't even see where the enemy is at, so it's almost like you have to take a lucky guess or just get a flashlight out. I think the idea was in the handheld version, you were supposed to use not only the stylus pen to look around that, but you're also supposed to use it to equip different weapons simultaneously. But depending which platform, you can press the pause button or the button to get to a shortcut, and you'll be able to equip your weapon in no time. So that way you can be able to react quickly. But half the times you probably can't because enemy will be right in front of you for no reason being. The game does have bosses as well, which if you guys have a shotgun and shoot them in the face, they'll do a jack ton of damage, which can pretty much not only save most of your bullets, but it can pretty much take them down a lot faster. And this game pretty much has some chapters which they can actually be completed within pretty quickly. And that's pretty much the easy part. You can complete chapters pretty quickly, but there's also puzzles for you guys to solve, like entering code or guessing what word this is, or finding 3 pieces of keys to open some sort of case for a weapon, or also trying to figure out how to play the piano. And that's it. There's really not much in terms of puzzles, but it doesn't mean it wasn't lacking any of that. I mean, I could see that we're trying to go for that Silent Hill type vibe, because not only you're trying to defend yourself and you got the red portal things with the portraits in it, but the enemy design also kind of looks similar to some of those in Silent Hill, which again makes sense as to why they were trying to pitch Konami the game. Now you can only save in 1 slot in this game, which is not going to be a good sign for you guys, but at the same time, that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it in terms of saving. You go to the thing and it saves you the game pretty quickly. So you play as Redmore, who was pretty much stuck with amnesia, and he's pretty much trapped in some sort of hospital place with monsters crawling around the place, and you need to deal with them. The big giant cleaver guy, the wheelchair guy that shoots a minigun. Yeah, imagine seeing a wheelchair guy shoot a minigun at you. And you have to try to escape out of the place, where you meet the doctor, who's the main bad guy of the game, and you have to take him down. But if you guys know what you're doing, you should be able to complete this game within an hour or 2, which makes it one of the shorter games that you'll probably play, and it's at a reasonable price of $15 or $8 depending if it's on sale. The only thing I was ever familiar with the game was just its cover. That was it. I always knew this as a DS game, but I've never had it until the 3DS version came out with a remaster. But my big issue I had was that sometimes those flying enemy things can get stuck in place instead of going towards you, which I don't think was intentional. Which I'm hoping they'll fix that part of the game. And I'm talking about the Steam version. And don't get me started on those screaming head things. Those things can do massive damage to you, despite playing the game normal. I should also mention this game has hard and a expert difficulty known as Demented. But yeah, make sure you watch out for those screaming head things, because they are a pain in the butt to deal with. All they do is scream, and they latch right through you. You have no idea when they're going to come out until they see you, that is. You can tell about every other enemy because they do have a noise they actually make. But one of the enemies in the game has a heart exposed, but if you're able to take them down by shooting the heart, probably like 1 or 2 hits, you should be able to beat them no problem. Headshots is not going to do anything in this game, because let's just face it, it's not going to do anyone favors. They're just going to still be alive and chase you regardless. But there is some good news too. If you really want to avoid enemies, you can. It's just certain enemies, I would say, but I would try to be cautious as to where they'll be. But if they're all surrounded, then you might as well try to fight back with any of the weapons that you have. So for those who wanted a Silent Hill to be played on the DS, then this game is basically your wish. But as I said before, there is a sequel, but I recommend playing the original version and not the disaster of a remake of the game that's on Steam currently. So we'll hopefully be waiting for Dementium 2 to get an HD remaster if this can be possible. It was said it was planned, but Renegade Kid ended up filing for bankruptcy. But like I said, if you know what you're doing, you should be able to beat this within an hour or 2. But don't get me started on the final boss, because that guy is a pain in the butt to deal with.